I'm pretty sure it's going. Okay, so Ms. Sarver and Ms. Pender are now going to go ahead and give examples of your oral passage analysis. So I'm going to go ahead and model a student who scored a 1 in all 3 columns on the oral analysis passage. And this is from Macbeth, Act 2, Scene 3, lines 96 through 117. Okay, here we go. So this portion of the book is when Duncan's like hella dead, and everybody's finding out that Duncan is dead, and we see that in the movie, that we saw, Macbeth was like messing with his hands behind his back because we know he's really nervous. And Macduff is telling Lady Macbeth that he can't tell her that Duncan's dead because she's a girl. And then Macbeth and Macduff tell Duncan's sons that their dad is dead, and Banquo gets really upset because he's really upset that Duncan's dead. And that was...
All right, so this is an example of a 2. So this passage matters because it's talking about a lot of dramatic irony, and it's showing that the characters Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are trying to pretend like they don't know what's happened, but we know that they know. And we see things like Macduff says the repetition in a woman's ear would murder as it fell, and that shows dramatic irony. We also see Banquo's really upset, and he says, "Too cruel anywhere." He wishes that Duncan hadn't been killed. And then at the very end, we see Duncan's sons come in, and they ask, "What is amiss?" And Macbeth says, "You are and do not know it." So that shows that they're out of place and that he's kind of starting to push them.
Okay, so here is an example of a student who earned a 3. This passage actually is a great example of the characterization we get of both Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, and we get this characterization a lot through dramatic irony and maybe a little bit through imagery or figurative language as well. We understand that Lady Macbeth and Macbeth are both attempting to be manipulative and really play on the feelings and the emotions of the characters around them. Lady Macbeth cries, "Woe, alas, and what in our house?" This is an example of dramatic irony because we understand that she has actually been planning to murder Duncan in her own house, but everybody else in the on stage, or all the other characters on stage, don't understand that. Macbeth also says that there's nothing serious in mortality anymore, meaning that there's nothing worthwhile, or there's nothing valuable in life anymore. And he's really playing this part of compassion and sadness that Duncan has died, even though we understand that Lady Macbeth and Macbeth have just killed the king. We also get an example of characterization between these two characters when Macbeth is explaining to Malcolm and Donalbain that their father is dead. He says, "The spring, the head, the fountain of your blood is stopped. It's the very source is stopped." So he's using this figurative language to explain how their father is dead, uses this euphemism for Duncan being murdered, while Macduff comes along and he says, "Your royal father's murdered." Macduff is very blunt, he's to the point, he doesn't have any manipulation that he's trying to do, he really just says things like it is. Macbeth, however, is trying to use language and using this figurative phrase, this euphemism, to make himself appear less guilty.
So this is an example of a 4. This passage is significant because it develops the characterization both of Macbeth and his wife, and a contrasting character foil pair between Macduff and Macbeth. So Lady Macbeth and Macbeth in this passage, there's a lot of dramatic irony with them, in that we as the audience know that they have just gone from killing Duncan, but the way they speak masks that. So first, Macduff says in line 98, he says, "The repetition in a woman's ear would murder as it fell." And this shows that he is fairly sexist and thinks that a woman can't handle the news of this murder. But the audience already knows that Lady Macbeth was actually pushing towards this murder. Later on, Lady Macbeth says, "Woe, alas, what in our house?" And that's in lines 102 to 103. And that shows that she's really following through with their plan from earlier on to be the innocent, look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent underneath. She's pretending to be very innocent to deflect guilt from her. Macbeth, as well, is very overreacting when he hears about the murder. He says things like, "Had I but died an hour before this chance, I had lived a blessed time." And this really shows that he's overreacting. He also says there's nothing serious in mortality. He uses the metaphor of the wine of life is drawn and the mere lees is left this vault to brag of, really showing wine is this very rich, very valuable, precious thing, and the wine is gone if Duncan is gone. So really, really putting it on there to really show, oh, I totally love Duncan. I cared so much about him. At the end, Macbeth and Macduff start developing as a contrasting pair. It foreshadows how they'll end up later in the play. So when Donalbain and Malcolm enter, Donalbain asks what is amiss, and Macbeth responds in lines 114 through 117, "You are and do not know it. The spring, the head, the fountain of your blood is stopped. The very source of it is stopped." So he's, again, extending this liquid metaphor to show that Duncan as a fountain of life has been killed. And he's using a euphemism there. He's not directly saying, "Oh, your dad's been killed." He's saying it in a more gentle, innocent kind of way, whereas Macduff comes out and says at the end of the passage, "Your royal father's murdered." So this shows that he'll be more direct as the play continues, whereas Macbeth is more sneaky. His wife is also more sneaky. So again, this passage is important because it shows characterization. It shows Macbeth and Lady Macbeth becoming sneakier and sneakier and really trying to hide their appearances, and it shows that Macduff will be more direct.